everybody. Welcome to Marina's Movie Club. My name is Ethan. I'm your producer and co-host. And with us, as always, is the namesake of the podcast, my beautiful, lovely film-loving wife, Marina.
Hello.
And back with us for part 2 of the Lady Bird episode is our friend Darcy.
Hello.
Welcome back again for part 2. I love having you here. If you haven't already, I would say now's a good time to go back and listen to part 1 of this Lady Bird episode where we talk about the auteur theory, and you can, just learn more about what different auteurs, what it means to be an auteur. It's
maybe not necessarily super important for this episode, but it will be good to know just moving forward.
Yeah. It's not like a precursor, but if you want to learn from film theorist Marina, there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. So how you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good. Nice. So fun. So great.
Hope everyone had a nice weekend.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed watching Lady Bird if you're following along with us. Or if not, you'll hear lots of spoilers and things about the Lady Bird movie. It's a good one. I would really recommend watching it. But, regardless.
We'll still accept you.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess.
Do you guys have initial thoughts on the film? I just want to jump into it.
Yeah. Do you want to start with the IMDb?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah. That'd be fun. I would say that Lady Bird is just one of those fun. I don't really know how to describe it. How would you describe Lady Bird? It's a fun movie.
It's a coming of age mother-daughter love story.
Yes, that's very accurate. Lady Bird was written and directed by Greta Gerwig. The cinematography was done by Sam Levy. Production design by Chris Jones. Saoirse Ronan played Lady Bird, and Laurie Metcalf was Marion McPherson. Marion, the mom.
Yeah, the mom. We don't care what their last name is.
No. This was such a fun movie. Also, a little side character, Timothée Chalamet.
Yes.
When I saw him on the screen, I was like, oh my gosh, is that Timothée Chalamet? Because I didn't think it was him. I thought it was just a dude who looked like Timothée Chalamet. And then it was Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
Crazy. Fun story. I didn't know that I had seen the movie before I knew about Timothée Chalamet. And then I didn't know that he was in it. It just kind of caught me off guard because it was a little bit before he became popular.
Yeah.
Timothée. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Initial thoughts? Anyone want to go first?
Well, it's kind of funny. The first time I watched Lady Bird, ironically, it was in the spring of my senior year of high school. And I was like, oh yeah, I totally relate to Lady Bird. I feel misunderstood. I thought that I knew everything. And then I couldn't wait to get out of Wheaton. And I was like, Wheaton, ugh. And then, I went off to college, and I was so homesick. I was crying every time my mom or dad left after they visited me, and I'd be like, appreciate your parents so much. And so it was kind of I was feeling Lady Bird in that aspect, and then seeing it 2 years after I graduated college, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have matured so much with my perspective and my approach to the movie, so yeah, and it's just a good movie. I just love it a lot. So
yeah, I was kind of surprised with watching it now versus when I first watched it, understanding her mom more. Not that I feel like she's still very annoying, but I can understand where she's coming from better than I did when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Because I think when I first watched it, I only related to Lady Bird. And then I just feel as you get older, you're well, there are other problems that she has to deal with. And I don't know.
But her mom's like borderline abusive.
Yeah, her
Or
mom
not
is-
even borderline. Like
Her
it's-
mom is definitely problematic.
Yeah, I don't know. Problems aside that you got to deal with as a parent, I feel like she didn't.
No, she didn't do it well.
You know what? Overall, I would say that the thing that I got was more of like what Darcy experienced. I feel like it's a really relatable coming of age story because it's like so much of what I remember me and my friends going through senior year of high school. Just like you all of a sudden are so close to independence and you can just taste it. And then you hate your hometown and you want to go somewhere else and you're becoming your own person. And it's all of that, like, because I think other coming of age stories are like learning, like if it's when you're like 11 to 13-year-old ish, I feel like you're learning that you are your own person, that like you have free will, that you have like your personality, that you like certain things and that you could choose stuff. And I think that's a different type of story. Whereas this one is learning that you are like your own adult with your own like life and future and aspirations for like the larger picture. So I feel like that plus the female like lead aspect of it in all of Greta Gerwig's films, I think was played out really well here as well.
Yeah. Good job, you. Your first little auteur connection.
Yeah. I did it. I knew
did it. Well, I guess we could talk more about some hallmarks of Greta Gerwig. And
I thought we were going to talk about Hallmark films for a second. And I was
Yeah,
like, what is
I was
that?
like, I don't know any. Sorry.
and mumblecore influence, which we talked about last, I don't know, 4 weeks
a little
ago.
while ago.
So improvised naturalistic dialogue, which is a staple of mumblecore. So conversations are very awkward and kind of don't necessarily have a goal. They're just kind of very, very natural, which I feel like you get a ton of with like their fights, Lady Bird and her mom.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, the time that I recognized it the most was when they're like all having breakfast and the mom's making the eggs. And then they're talking about the eggs, but then she's also having a conversation with Shelley about like veganism. And then there's like 4 different conversations going on at the same time. And I just feel like it was done so well because you can like follow it all, but it still feels very like you're just watching someone's family.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Do you know if any of it was improvised? As
I
like
don't
other
think so.
mumblecore, because it seemed
Mumblecore-
scripted. If it was
yeah.
improvised, I would be like very ultra impressed.
Yeah.
No, I read the script and it was very similar to the script.
Oh, okay.
And mumblecore, is known for being improvised, but Greta Gerwig like doesn't improvise things, which is super interesting
Yeah.
because she seems like she would be a good improv actor.
Right.
But yeah, all of her stuff is super scripted. It just is scripted to sound kind of improvised, which is funny. And then another mumblecore thing that Greta Gerwig is big on too is focus on characters over plot. So it's kind of where there's not a ton of stuff going on. She's like getting into college and having boyfriends and stuff, but there's not necessarily like a clear constant goal for her other than like independence or like finding herself.
I would say getting into college was like a larger one.
Yeah.
And then there's like that B plot of her romantic life.
I also think it was
But it
just
kind of
being-
changes.
Yeah. I think it was just being like grateful. Like
Yeah.
her mom throughout the movie, obviously like parents are like, I've done so much for you. Like we've done so much for you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we do this and this. And like, she doesn't like realize it like then. And then literally when she like was at her lowest point at the end, the last thing she says is like, thank you to her parents. So I think that was like, just like being grateful and like showing like how she
That's a great
appreciates
connection.
them.
Yeah.
I think too.
But also, I think that was kind of like I could see how that would be like a tough point for her character just because her mom consistently threw it in her face that she was ungrateful, which I could like, she also was, but I think one of the lines that I really loved was like, did you ever like go to bed without putting all of your clothes away perfectly and wish that your mom wasn't mad at you for it.
Yeah.
Like it, and then she was like, well, my mom was an alcoholic. And it was like, well,
Yeah.
it kind of makes sense. And like, I think the characters are really strong and they had like these backstories and,
Yeah.
and desires and like previous lives that were before
Yeah.
the movie. And it's
Very
just,
strong characters.
yeah, super strong.
Yeah. And then the last thing is self-identity, which kind of goes along with that. But like all of her characters in Mumblecore and in her films are like really trying to find their identity. But then I think they all have very strong characteristics. But then almost everyone's goal is like figuring out who they are.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting. And I think it'll be interesting when we talk about Barbie to like see, kind of compare those,
Yeah,
Barbie and Lady Bird. Yeah.
definitely.
Sorry, those are my only like auteur things I just wanted to bring up.
Got it.
So now we can just talk about the movie.
I love it. Great.
Should we talk about the opening scene though? Because
It was really, I think the first time I watched
perfect
it,
opening scene.
it's really good. The first time I watched it, it like stuck out in my mind so much that I was looking forward to watching it a second time.
Yeah.
I was mainly looking forward to watching that
I
opening
know.
scene again.
The thing, so before like the car scene, when it like the actual opening image, which is kind of cool because like that's something you learn about in film school is like the opening image is important and like symbolic to the rest of it. And the opening image of Lady Bird is them laying in bed together, Lady Bird and her mom.
Yeah.
And they're like face to face and it's very like calm, but it's because they're asleep. And then like the second they wake up, there's like no
Automatic
calmness
bickering.
between them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is like super,
Oh, I
super
almost forgot
interesting.
about that.
Yeah.
It's a very small little scene. Like it just kind of happens and then they're up and awake. And then we get to the car scene. Which
Yeah.
is,
And then also it shows like them driving back to Sacramento, and then the end it shows like driving through Sacramento. So it's like kind of like
full
the
circle.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like really a movie about driving. I feel like
Because she didn't have her
driving is like
license.
super important. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I feel like I have a different, like I said before, a different perspective of like how I think about it. I feel like when I watched it when I was, 18 years old, again, like I thought, oh my gosh, like, yeah, my dad or my mom or like my siblings, like,
Yeah.
ugh, I can't wait to like show them, like, yeah. And I thought that I knew everything. And now watching it, I feel like, I keep saying like, I feel as if, especially mother-daughter relationships are much more different than like son and mom
Sure,
relationships. And you can see it too in this movie. Like she's harder on Lady Bird.
Yeah.
And Lady Bird seems like, even though she's younger than her brother in the movie, she seems like she knows what she wants and she has it more together than her brother. And her brother, even though he went to Berkeley
And he got all these piercings.
and he has these piercings and whatnot, and he's even though he went to Berkeley, he's like, I mean, obviously it's hard to whatever he got his degree in probably is
Math or something.
Yes.
Didn't he? Like,
Oh, I don't remember that part. That's funny.
weird.
and it seemed like the mom wasn't as hard on the brother than she was on Lady Bird, which is like a typical mother-daughter relationship versus like a mother-son relationship. And also there was a lot I was noticing throughout the movie, and like also I think us as girls can like be like, oh, it's my mom's fault, like blaming it on your mom. Like the first thing when she's at school and she didn't do well on her math test, and then her friend goes, well, because she was like, my dad's good at math, and she's like, well, maybe it's your mom's fault.
Yeah.
Like immediately
Like
like
as if you like genetically.
yes, like so like already like I feel like we're hard on moms
Oh, that's interesting.
as like daughters.
Well, and even like as a society, I feel like we
Yes.
expect more from moms than
Yes.
dads. So it's like,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
that kind of
yeah.
trickles down to like just in a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
You expect more from your mom than you do your dad.
Do you think the mother character was like projecting what she was hoping for her life to look like onto Lady Bird, or like being, or do you think it was just that she was like overprotective and not wanting Lady Bird to, with the terrorism scare of 9/11 that
That's
happened
true,
in the film, like nobody wants to go to the East Coast. East Coast has terrorists. Don't go there. Or like, do you think it like, was it more like protective, like not helicopter, but like just having too high of a standard? Or was it more that she was like projecting what she was hoping her life would?
Yeah, I was wondering if it was kind of like she cares, or she's harder on Lady Bird because she like sees the potential versus the brother, Miguel. Like he's already gone to college and he's already kind of failed.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I don't want to say he failed because then he does get a job or whatever, but maybe she like kind of gave up on him and she has higher hopes for Lady Bird. And so she's like pushing her more. But then at times she's like, you should just go to community college because you're stupid.
Yeah.
So
You're never going to get a job.
I don't know.
I think her mom just like throughout the movie you hear Lady Bird. It's kind of funny. She's with her family, like she's more herself and everything. And then when she was talking to her first boyfriend,
Danny?
Danny?
I think it's Danny.
Yeah. And she would defend her mom, be like, well, my mom just really loves me so much. And like, she just really cares about me. And I think, and then she was upset about her not being at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I think her mom had a tough time with showing attention versus love. And then ironically, when she was in the nun's office, and the nun was saying like, what did she say?
Like you love Sacramento.
No. Oh, well, yes, it was about Sacramento. It said like some people think that love and attention are the same.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, that's it. That's like what it is. Like her mom, I think just like has a tough time showing that she loves her and she just doesn't want her to go away. And that's why she was so mad about her going off to like New York. Cause she's like, why can't you just go to like UC Davis? Like in her way, like I can kind of see it cause I don't know. I have like very strong personalities in my family and like we were very like say it how it is basically or tell it how it is. And like I could just like see like you don't want to like get mushy, but like you are just saying it in a different way where it's coming off as like you're being harsh, but it's just because you love and like care and you just don't want them to go away.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard, like especially for parents, but like I think when people move and it's like funniest for college because it's like it's just college, but it's still like you're still moving away. It can be seen as like, oh, well, you want to leave here because you don't like me or like what I don't know. But I think for her, it's like she just needed a little bit of independence. And then I feel like she still likes Sacramento. So I feel like she would move back to Sacramento after college. But she just needed like that space for a little bit. And it wasn't because she hated her parents. It's just like she just wanted to experience something different.
Yeah. I also liked how you were talking about the difference between, or the line of love and attention. The nun thought that the prank that Lady Bird and her friend pulled on her, where she was like just married to Jesus. And she was like, I thought it was funny. I don't know if it get you in trouble. I feel like it's like the antithesis of her relationship with her mom, where like Lady Bird can't even like walk without getting reprimanded. And she was like, are you tired?
Walked weird across the stage. Oh yeah.
It was when they were at the thrift store. She was like, are you tired? We can sit down. And she was like, no, I'm fine. She's like, oh, I just couldn't tell because you were dragging your feet. So
the best part about that is she walked like 2 steps. And then she said that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like, man, I felt like there were like redeeming qualities about the mom's character, but I think to me more it just like was almost I feel like it was the the situations were begging you to be like, oh, but she is a loving mom. But everything that she was physically doing was not showing, like, I guess when I think of love, I think of like grace, understanding, care, that kind of stuff. And I don't think any of that was portrayed in the mom. So like the idea that she was sad that Lady Bird wasn't at Thanksgiving was like, okay, understand that that's sad. But also, if you really wanted her to be at Thanksgiving, like, don't like yell at her for, doing like breathing incorrectly. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, I think Lady Bird like came around to being like loving and grateful, but I almost feel like it was at the like control of the mom, because it was one of those things where she continued to like throw like you're ungrateful back into her face rather than showing her like how gratitude works in a way that like, because I think every young person's going to go through that like portion of their life where they're like maybe wishing things are different, wanting their own type of thing. It's like a coming of age idea. But then I think Lady Bird kind of like learned gratitude by like going off on her own and then like seeing like, oh, I had so much at home and now I understand what my mom was trying to talk about, rather than her mom actually being the one to teach her about gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's kind of like parents, I feel like over like generations, they like learn from their parent. They're like, well, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like, however, like not every parent is going to be perfect.
What?
Like, she said, her mom said, my mom was an abusive alcoholic.
Right.
Like she's, I mean, obviously the way that she framed it, like I could be an abusive alcoholic like my mother was. So I think obviously her mother with, some of the things that she like threw in her face were not the best choices, but I think she's just trying to be like one step better than her mom being an abusive alcoholic.
Right.
And then Lady Bird will now take what her mom would say to her or certain things, and then like she can take it on and like, so I think it's kind of like her mom thinking, well, I'm not this.
Yeah.
So
Like at least I'm better than that.
Yes.
It's kind of like, I remember this. After Lady Bird lost her virginity to Timothy Chalamet, his character. It's a funny scene. There's the thing. Sorry, it's a funny scene.
yeah.
It's funny I won't go into detail.
Yeah.
But she's like upset with him for lying about the fact that he was not a virgin after all. And then
I think he was lying.
yeah, he totally
He
was
totally
lying.
said-
Because when they were
I think
making
he
out at the
was
party, she was like, I've never done this before. And then he was like, yeah, me
lying
neither.
about
Yeah.
being a virgin. Or
I think
think
he was lying
pretending
that
like
he
he had sex
said
6
that
times?
he was,
She was like, I don't know, 6, whatever. No.
because then he was like, I haven't lied in like
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. And I go, what the heck?
so
But
self-righteous.
also, I feel like that, self-righteous is a good word for it. It was funny because he was like, she was getting upset with him, and then he was like, do you know how many civilians have been killed in the war in Iraq? And it's like, what does that have to do?
Yeah.
Like apples.
Pretentious
Oh, what does our pastor say? What does that have to do with the price of
eggs.
Tomatoes.
tomatoes? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my family says, well, what does that have to do with the price of eggs?
That makes more sense in today's economy.
And in this economy,
eggs?
Yeah.
it's funny. But I feel like that joke was also used in Lady Bird's mom of being like, well, at least I'm not an abusive alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the
It's like
same.
it could always be
comparison.
worse.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
But,
yeah,
like,
it
that
could always
doesn't-
be worse.
yeah.
But that's not reason to.
Yeah. I could be dying and it could technically be worse.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I almost think, I mean, maybe I'll save this for the Barbie episode. I don't know. Because there's like a linkage I see with like Lady Bird and Barbie.
Oh, okay.
You can say it now and then we can revisit it.
Sure, yeah.
I think they both have like I don't know how to pronounce it in this version of the word, naivety.
Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah.
naive.
Yeah.
They're like naive and innocent, and they're in their own world.
Yeah.
And then they like figure it out like on their journey, and then they were like, oh, but I did like it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they're both kind of, there's similar aspects that we'll go
Yeah.
over next time. Yeah. I think Lady Bird's a little naive.
Definitely.
There's some innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Like it almost, she wants, like, I think it's sad because she said, you know, she lives on the wrong side of the tracks to Danny.
Yeah.
And like she and her friend were looking at those beautiful houses on that street, and like how she wished that she could have friends over and have snacks.
Yeah.
And then her brother, I forget which time it was. It Thanksgiving when her boyfriend was picking her up. Her brother's like, she'll be out. She just wants to make a grand entrance, and she's mad that we don't have a spiral staircase.
So funny.
Like there's that kind of childlike innocence where you're like, yeah, I want to like be in the movies.
You know what?
And like
that's so true, because also I think the scene where of prom was super on the nose about that, mainly because I think throughout the film she's wanting independence. She wants to go to a place with culture. She wants to buy cigarettes and the Playgirl magazine and so funny. But she wants to grow up so badly. And I think with this gratitude portion, I don't think she was pausing to like recognize the beauty and the things that she could look forward to about her life and the stage that she was in right now.
Yeah.
Because in the prom scene, they were like, prom's lame. I don't want to go. I don't like dances. And she was like, I love dances. Like, I really want to go. And that's a fun part of high school. We don't get to go to dances anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not like a thing that you do as an adult. I guess as a normal, unless you go to clubs and stuff.
But like in high school, you have like 3 organized dances a year.
Right.
And it's like, I don't think I've had 3 things to dress up for.
Right.
In the last year.
So it's funny because I think like dances are like a way where like kids feel like adults because they're dressing up to go to their own thing.
Yeah.
But then it's only something that you get to do really as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's like I think she was like reclaiming her high schoolness by saying like, you know what? Like I want to go be silly at prom with my friend. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to be like an adult today.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true, because Timothée Chalamet's character is very like adult in a way.
Just
Like he's
watches the news.
pretentious.
Yeah.
Pretentious.
reads a people's
I only
History
smoke
of
hand rolled
America or
cigarettes.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. After watching that again, I'm like,
Also, I noticed at the party, what?
so you say it.
I was gonna say he, instead of drinking a beer like everybody else, he had a whiskey glass
Oh.
next to him.
He's reading a book by the pool at the party.
I know,
And I'm like,
yeah.
that is giving me
too
pick
cool for
me boy vibes.
Yeah, it's like I'm too cool. Like
Yeah.
Like, he seems like he's like James Dean. Like, I live such a hard life.
yeah.
at the
And I'm
age
like,
of 17.
I don't really like the economy. I just want to barter everything.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It does remind me though of
in a
like
band.
that age when you're
Yeah.
like,
when you start to learn about like
and like how bad the world is, and like you're like, I'm gonna make a difference. And I remember being at that age when people were like when we were like going to college, and everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone thinks they're gonna go to college and like change the world. And I was like, yeah, but like I am, you know. And then you like get to it, and you're like, like you cannot barter in the real world.
Right.
Like it doesn't work, no matter how hard you want to.
Yeah.
But
it's that
we've all
passion. I
been
feel like
there.
everybody wants to feel like they're part of something larger than themselves. You know?
yeah,
So
I respect him a little bit, but mostly not.
I think Timothée Chalamet was a good casting role for that
so
role.
good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Well, also, like, it's ironic because he was, like, with the cell phone thing, like, he had a cell phone and he's like, oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah,
Like, you don't have I'm like,
don't
what
have one
are
then if you care about
saying?
that.
Yeah.
That was so funny when she's like, but I don't have a tracking device.
No, it's the phone.
Yeah.
we buy tracking devices for ourselves.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. And then also, I think it also described, like, a little bit of, like, dad and daughter, like, relationships. Like, with her dad. Like, her dad was
So sweet.
so
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
And, like, obviously, you know, her mom was now, like, the person only working in the house. So, like, I could see her mom, like, being stressed. And the dad was, like, trying to find a job. But, like, it was so, like, sweet. And, like, how, like, even though he lost his job and everything, like, he was trying to find a way to make it work to, like,
Yeah.
get the
Like, get her
applications
money.
and the financial
Yeah.
aid. And then when she got into, was it Sarah Lawrence that she got into?
I don't
Or
know
was
if they
it-
say what it was.
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
The only thing is like they show, I think, Columbia, but her thumb's
There's a-
over it. And then she opens that one and it's a
Waitlist?
it's no,
Yeah.
that's the rejection.
rejected.
Oh,
But then it doesn't show what the other two are.
Yeah.
It just says rejected and then waitlisted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we only know, I think, that it's
Mm-hmm.
in New York,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
which
the dad
maybe was on purpose. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
But then the dad was like, okay, how much? I forget about the house. Like,
Oh yeah, they have to.
so that she could go.
yeah, mortgage.
Oh, the reverse
house
mortgage,
reverse-
second
yeah.
mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
So
oh my
cute.
gosh.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So,
Yeah. The dad is a great character.
Yeah.
Also, like, I mean, there isn't a lot on their marriage, but I feel like overall I like their marriage and that, like, they're still. I don't appreciate him going behind her back to help Lady Bird.
Never a great
I don't think that's
sign in a
great,
marriage.
but overall,
opinion.
they're like pretty healthy other than that,
Yeah.
which I think is like
yeah.
something that I wouldn't have expected from this movie.
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah. I kind of, from the rest of the film, it would have like added more fuel to the fire if the marriage was also bad and then,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
picking a favorite parent
But like,
and everything.
yeah.
Yeah. He was just like super sweet. And then the job thing where he was interviewing.
Yeah.
And then the brother
That was so sad.
was also
so yeah.
awkward. And then the
And then
dad
he
was like,
got it.
yeah, I could. Yeah. It was just,
Yeah.
yeah, super sweet. Yeah. But like just showing like the dad's always like, your mom loves you. Just like,
Right.
you know,
She's going through
she's
a
just
lot.
upset.
She's
Yeah.
got to understand.
Yeah. Like you can just see it.
Yeah.
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 I remember my dad one time. He pulled like my mom was I'll spare details, but my mom was going through something, and then one day I was like walking down the hallway, and then he opened the bathroom door, pulled me in, and then closed the bathroom door, and then I was like, what's happening? And then he was like, do you want to like go do something? Like, can I go get you ice cream? And then I was like, sure. And then we were in the car, and he's like, I just need to get out of the house, man. Like, your mom's going through a lot, and like I'm there for her, love her, but she just needs some time by herself, and I need time with a boy. So we're gonna hang out. And then I was like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, mom's crazy sometimes. But aren't we all crazy sometimes? You know? No, nothing against my mom. It's just
I love your mom.
we love my mom. But she there's all that to say, there was like, I think a lot of like relatable family moments in there where they're like, I think that is like a good marriage thing. Sometimes you just you gotta understand your spouse and be like, you know them better than anybody, and you gotta make sure that they have their space to do processing in the way that they do. But in terms of Lady Bird's mom, I just didn't like her.
Really?
I don't know. I didn't like her.
I was getting,
I just don't think there was enough redeeming qualities about her. I was like, we could throw her a bone for being sad that Lady Bird's not at Thanksgiving. But I feel like that's like maybe like, I don't know.
oh, and then I thought of the dad put the
letters?
notes
Yeah.
in her
That was so
backpack.
sweet. Yeah.
Like, cause he was like,
Yeah.
I'm not, like, obviously I think he was like trying to take the moment of like her, like, oh, like I wanted to apply for a financial aid package or whatever. And like behind his back, or behind the mom's back. But then like, he was trying to do something for the mom.
I guess that was very redeeming of the mom's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Deep down.
Because like
she-
again,
yeah.
like she just, I think maybe based on her mom and her relationship, like she might, like that's probably like trauma, and she probably
Yeah.
has a tough time like showing vulnerability.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
true.
And I think I kind of somewhat relate to the mom, where like I grew up in my household where like we don't really give like a lot of compliments. It's like more of
Oh,
like
yeah.
we are very like hard on each
Yeah.
and I'm trying, like that's like a goal of mine this year, is like giving people like more compliments, because it was just like we were very like hard on each other. And so I'm like, that's like something I kind of relate with
Yeah.
the mom. Like I think she knows like in her head the things that she wants to say, but it's like hard.
Yeah. I see that. Okay. You've changed my mind.
Sorry.
I don't like her character, but I think she has redeeming
I
qualities.
think there's a
guess.
lot to get from that one line of my mother was an abusive alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like there's
That's true. That's
we
true.
don't dive into that, but like I think
Yeah.
it reveals a lot.
Yeah.
I also really liked Shelley, the girlfriend, Miguel's girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
And that one scene, I think it's at the end of Thanksgiving when they're smoking outside.
Oh, and
They're talking about her mom. And like, I just thought it was super interesting how Shelley, like the dad even says like, you're my only daughter. Well, and also Shelley kind of. So like they kind of consider her a daughter, but like she chose their family.
Yeah.
And like she chose Lady Bird's mom to kind of be a mom
That's
figure.
interesting. Yeah.
And it's super interesting, like, yeah, to have her be someone who chose this mom and then Lady Bird didn't choose her mom, but really wants to get away from the mom.
Right.
Which is just, I don't know. I just thought it was a super interesting little thing to add in there.
That's true.
And also, it's like her parents like kicked her out.
yeah.
So in a way, it's kind of like, well, your mom's better than other moms.
Yeah. Grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I guess it does take a lot for like a parents to like accept in another like teenager or young adult into your house kind of randomly.
I think of the mom as, have you seen Gilmore Girls?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, obviously without like the money that the Gilmores have, but I kind of think of Emily Gilmore as the mom because I've watched Gilmore Girls like dozens of times, and the more I watch it, the more I'm like, Lorelai, you should listen to your mom.
I like
because
her.
your
Like
mom
Emily.
like is just watching out for you. Like she obviously can be obnoxious and a handful, but like she's just sorry, am I yelling?
You're just being passionate.
She just like is looking out for her, and obviously like Emily has a tough time showing vulnerability.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think of like in an abstract or what is it?
Well,
parallel.
and both of them are kind of like free spirit, like Lorelai and Lady
Yes.
Bird, like very free spirit kind of
Yes.
people, and their parents are more traditional.
Yes.
So it's like they just kind of clash, and they don't know how to interact with each other.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I also like off topic or not off topic, steering away from Lady Bird. I forget her friend's name, but
Julie.
like Julie was so sweet.
Oh yeah, such
And,
a
like,
sweet
how
character.
She had a crush on the math teacher.
So cute.
And I thought it was super funny how Lady Bird threw out the grade book.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then when he was like, well, you know, just tell me what you think you had.
And then she was like A, and then A minus.
A minus.
And then
Oh,
he was like, I think it was an A.
Yeah,
Don't you
and-
think it was an A? And then Lady Bird comes up and she was like B, and he's like, don't you think it was a B minus?
that was so funny. Because it was like you could see, obviously, Lady Bird was probably a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And that to him.
I also loved that like when she went into the classroom, I thought she was gonna like just change her grade.
She threw the whole thing
But like
out.
it's so funny because it's almost like she did the least bad thing she could have done while still doing something bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like she didn't like go in and like mess with it. She just was like, well, I'm just gonna throw it away, see what happens.
Yeah, that's where I think
Thought
of
that
like
was
the
funny.
innocence or like being naive, where she's just like a kid, like I'm gonna throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, why was that?
Like do you not realize like that could have been way worse than it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're a teacher. How would that have made you? Like if you graded everything on paper and then it got thrown away? How much would that be?
Oh, I would. Well, I was like that kid, so I'm like, it was one of you, and I can take a guess which one of you it was.
Yeah, it was one of you three, and I probably know which one it was.
Yeah. So maybe he also had like an inkling, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you did this B minus.
It's interesting because I feel like she's such a like troublemaker, but then everyone really likes her, kind of like
Yeah.
they all like have a soft spot for her. I feel like
Oh my gosh, that scene during the assembly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
I wrote that down.
That was rough.
That was
Just because
so
something looks
bad.
ugly doesn't mean it's morally wrong.
Yeah, if you, man,
Oh my
that
gosh.
was. Wow. Yeah, that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
Was just like, man, like she was like, well, if you the last comment that she got suspended for.
Oh,
about,
yeah.
like
We wouldn't be in this.
we wouldn't be in this assembly.
Yeah.
Wow, that was
was
a lot.
But I think that's also like, I feel like I have friends who in high school made comments like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't understand what you're saying.
Right.
So it's like, I'm surprised
Yeah.
that she was only suspended, but then at the same time, I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess it makes sense that she was only suspended because she
I
didn't
mean,
really know
Yeah.
what she was doing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, it was still a pretty out of pocket comment.
No,
It's-
it was.
wild.
Yeah. And I think also it was just like the influence, like when she shifted to hang out with that group of people, she was kind of like trying to look cool and whatnot. So,
Well, any closing thought? I feel like
Should we
that
talk
was,
about like the end maybe? Her time when she goes to college.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think, well, before, as she's going to college, one more mom comment is her mom drives around and then runs in to like say goodbye or whatever.
Oh
And
yeah.
I just found it interesting that like Lady Bird never knows that happens.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of a trope in like TV shows and stuff. But I just thought that was super interesting that like her mom kind of forgave her then, but Lady Bird didn't know until she read the letters or something.
yeah. I thought it was super cute, or like I kind of related when she got to college and well, this is a funny one. She's like, "Do you believe in God?"
Oh, yeah. And then he was like, no, it's ridiculous. And he's like, so we call ourselves by names that our parents gave us, but we don't believe in God.
Yes.
I don't get people. It's just
Yes. Yes. I thought that was super funny. And then when he was like, "Where are you from?" and she said Sacramento, and he goes, "Where?" and then she goes, "San Francisco." I totally related to that because like if people ask me like where I'm from and I say Wheaton, they're like, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Chicago."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I live right next to the Bean. It's my
Yeah.
next door neighbor.
Yep. But
That's interesting because I was thinking like, oh, she changed her name from Ladybird back to Christine.
yes.
So like she's kind of not like reclaiming her identity, but like going back to her.
Yeah.
Roots.
Because
Like,
it showed
But
like,
then I thought she like said Sacramento and then he actually didn't hear. And then she said San Francisco because she like rethought it.
I think I kind of
But-
thought that too.
Yeah, but it could have been that
It could have
he
been
didn't know
either,
where
yeah.
that was.
I think Sacramento, never
They're
mind.
both
You went to
Northern
school
California,
in
Bay Area.
California.
Should know Sacramento though.
Yeah.
It's the capital.
It's the capital, but I'm
It's
like
just
trying to
Sacramento's
think.
further east. It's like more
Yeah.
in the central area of
Yeah.
like if you go between California is like very
It's the
narrow.
Midwest of
Yeah.
California,
I'm trying to think
as
like
Lady Bird says.
if you're not from California, if you,
Do you know
really
where that
know
is? Yeah.
where Sacramento is. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the big towns are Sacramento's like the northernmost central town, and then if you go west towards the coast, you got San Francisco and Santa Cruz, like those big Bay Area towns, and then the only other big towns in California, or like massive towns, I would say, are Los Angeles and San Diego, and then everything else is kind of like suburban chunks around those larger areas. But those are the big ones, because after you passed Sacramento, it's basically just woodlands until you get to Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, back to the Christine thing, like saying like I'm Christine or whatever. I thought it was interesting. So like in the beginning of the movie, well, not kind of the beginning of the movie, like you can tell that she's questioning whether or not she believes in God, because when she went up for communion, she just was
Oh, she had her
blessed.
hands crossed. Yeah.
Yes. So then like indicates like, okay, like she's going to a Catholic school and she's not really, really religious.
Right.
And then at the end, when she's out of the hospital and then she's asking the man, like, what day is it? And he said Sunday. And then she was going to church. I think she was like, that was her way of being homesick.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like she went to Catholic school, did mass and everything. And I think that was like a little bit of her, like, even though she hated it then, she's like appreciative of it like now. And then, and the big part was when she called her parents and she even said,
Yeah.
hey, it's Christine.
Yeah.
Like that was like
The name you gave me.
big, yes,
Yeah.
a big moment.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
she was like, okay, I'm grateful for you. Like, I'm grateful for the name you gave me. And then like saying thank you. I just thought it was like super sweet.
Yeah, me too. Well, I loved the movie.
Yeah.
I think is definitely worth the second watch. I think Greta Gerwig did a great job as an auteur here.
Yeah.
But with that, we wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in with us. Appreciate you being here. If you want to connect with us more off the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at Marina's Movie Club, or you can read little tiny short reviews or things that we've watched on Letterboxd at Movie Club Pod. And I don't know if you're going to have like a written version of a review for Lady Bird or not, but
On our website.
it's going to be on the website. Oh, very cool.
hope so.
Well, on our website, marinasmovieclub.com, you could find other film reviews and links to podcasts and all that kind of fun stuff that we talk about. But until next time, Darcy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And Lady Bird, I loved it. 2 thumbs up from Ethan. Thumbs up from everybody here.
6 thumbs up total.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next time.